G'day and welcome to Aussievision. Today we are talking about the United Kingdom and the entry for Eurovision 2022 and how we think it's going to go with the jury and the televote. And I'm joined today by my wonderful friend and Aussievision colleague, Steve, who is originally from the UK, aren't you, Steve?
Yes, that's right. I've been over here in Australia for 11 years now, but probably still sound very British to anybody listening.
You do. You haven't got an Australian accent yet. You
No.
look. I mean, there's been a bit of excitement about Sam. I mean, as an artist, and as what do you think of him being a British kind of fan? Obviously, he's got a bit of a TikTok background, an interesting voice. What do you think of him as an artist?
I think he's great. I think I've really liked a lot of the recent artists that we've had. Sam is a continuation of that, but I think what Sam has that maybe the last couple didn't is a recognised presence online, a big fan base, and I think those are great building blocks for a really good performance at Eurovision in Turin.
Oh, well, very good segue there, because let's have a look at how we think he will go with both the jury and the public, because that's what Eurovision's all about. Competition song, not if we just like it. So what we did is we got the whole Aussievision team to score each entry out of 10 based on their jury appeal and televote appeal. And the UK, for jury televote appeal, got a score of 7.93, which is seventh overall. Pretty solid there, Steve. What are your thoughts on the team's rating there, and how do you think it'll go with the jury?
My rating was an 8, so I'm pretty much in line with the team there. I can see lots of jury appeal in this song, pretty much from the get-go. I mean, he opens his vocal, which we know is stunning. You hear that from the first couple of seconds. There's no kind of build, and then he knocks out a big note a minute into the song. You know this guy can sing from the beginning, and certainly a casual viewer might be quite surprised by that and taken by it, because that comes up right at the start of the song. It has jury bait written all over it for me, which is good. It's a more reliable source of points to tap into, and so I'm pleased the UK's gone in that direction. And I can see it. I can see it scoring well, and at least scoring from a good number of juries.
Yeah. And I think there's something like a lot of the entries, and as you said, we had some, with the UK had some really good artists, but often the songs sounded like they've been written for Eurovision, where I felt like this is a song that Sam had, and they've made it just kind of, they made a few tweaks because they had to get to 3 minutes, but his voice, as you say, I think the song sounds like something you could hear on radio in the UK. He's got that foundation already. I think they're going to be rewarded for the effort and for the quality of song, because it is worthy of the British music scene, which I think maybe some of the other songs in the past maybe haven't been as well. So I think it's also a really good direction for the UK to go in, because being a bit more jury friendly for sure, because that's where you guarantee to get points. You don't know what public are going to do, but often you can kind of guess what the jury's going to do.
Absolutely. Juries will be stacked with people who will appreciate a really good vocal and the range that Sam has alone. That's leaving aside considerations like the staging and other things. But that's what they will go for. And so a good number of jurors, especially kind of your vocalists, your musical theatre types who really appreciate a great voice. I mean, what's not to love about Sam's voice?
Yeah, and you actually singing a song that I think is something that they'll appreciate, where rather than something that may be just a bit not cheesy, but this is definitely not in that area. Okay, well, look, that's the jury. I think we're feeling pretty good there. 7.93 is really good, and we've given it 7th in that appeal, which is very good and solid top 10. Let's look at the televote appeal, because let's be honest, this is probably where the UK have struggled, even when they haven't, getting some points here. So the Aussievision team have given Sam Ryder 7.79 for televote appeal. 9th place overall, so still within that top 10. I think this is a pleasant surprise that it's still done quite well for televote appeal with the team, that they see that people are going to potentially pick up the phone and vote for UK. What do you think?
Absolutely. When I first thought about rankings for televote and jury, by the way, I've given both 8 points. So this got 8 points for my televote as well. But when I first thought about it, I thought that was maybe over egging it slightly. I toyed with the idea of a nearer to a 7. And then the more I saw online feedback in terms of what people thought about the song, it made me realize that I needed to be a little bit more optimistic, maybe, and that I pushed my televote up to an 8. I think it deserves that, and certainly in OGE polls from OGE clubs around Europe, the odds and just generally the vibe you get on social media about the song, I think this has some televote love, certainly more than we've seen in the past 5 years more.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, the word staging does have to come up because it's probably where they have fallen down sometimes when they've had a good vocalist and maybe a half decent song.
Yeah.
They have struggled with the staging, and it's such an important part to play. But there has been a little bit of talk about, watch out for it, which is really promising. And it's quite obvious they're taking it very serious this year. And you've got Tap Music behind it, who are really good in their visual identity for songs and for artists. So hopefully they're all working well together with artists, BBC, with Tap to produce something that's going to work really well. And something you said earlier about the fact that he gets straight into it, like the reduced version to 3 minutes gets to that chorus really quick, which I think is really important for that televote.
And it has a very familiar, as a Brit who lived through kind of like the Britpop era, although I don't think it's dated by any sense. There are elements of the song that really shout out that this is a British sound. I was listening earlier, and one part of it towards the end, the middle 8, really reminded me of an Oasis song, a B-side Oasis song, Half a World Away. And there's a little element in it where even the chord structure or something, it just sounds like that. So it sounds familiar, but it also doesn't sound dated. And definably British, which I think, as you said in the past, not writing a song for Europe, for Eurovision, putting something out there that reflects British music.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's timeless. Yeah. That British sound, which, there's parts of the Beatles did that obviously Oasis kind of touched on. And you can hear that in Swedish music as well. When Ace of Base sounded like ABBA, and then people sound like Ace of Base. And I think that continues through, and you can hear that in some of it. And that's when people go, oh, yeah, this sounds like a British song. This sounds like the British music industry. I like this. It's familiar. I enjoy this music. And I don't think you have to be like a 90s kid, maybe like us, to appreciate that as well. I do think it is quite timeless.
Because elements of it certainly sound very radio friendly right now.
100%.
But it has that backing sound, which reminds me pleasantly of songs I used to enjoy earlier in my youth.
I will say the team, I think maybe not, I don't think they're over-egging it. I do think we'll still see a little bit of a difference. I still think it's more of a jury. So I might be more like 8 and 7. I think I might have given it an 8 and 7 from memory. Okay. But I mean, 7.9 to 7.7, I'm playing with semantics here, right? But I still think it'll do very solidly well. So let's get on to that. Prediction time. Oof. How do you, and obviously straight through to the grand final, being a Big Five nation, how will it go on the Saturday night in Turin?
I'm going to do an optimistic head and a more pessimistic head here, and then kind of somewhere coming between the two. I think this deserves to come in the top 10. I think it deserves to come in the top 10. If it got anywhere near the top 5, I would be overjoyed. I think that would be an incredibly good result. Personally, in my ranking, I think I have it 6th or 7th, and it's around that 6 to maybe 10 spot that I think it really should fall into. Worst case, crossing my fingers here, worst case, it's a left-hand side of the board finish.
Okay.
I'd be gobsmacked if this came below 13.
Wow, I love. Oh my God, you've been in Australia too long. You're too optimistic. Where's that British pessimism? I'm kind of probably being maybe a little bit more cautious. I do think my range definitely in the 10. This is an entry good enough to be in the 10. Yeah. I just still think there's that question mark about how people treat UK, how the stage, how it all come together. I'm probably putting it in that 6th, 7th, and the top range. I'm just not sure if there's quite enough of top 5. Personally, it was my 3rd favorite song overall. I love this. So I'm probably going 6th, 7th. I am going the worst case scenario, 14th, 15th. I think thinking like Lucy Jones came as 16th, this is better than that.
Oh, overall. Yeah, definitely.
And so I think that's the worst case scenario, even if maybe the stage is not perfect, or maybe if his vocal goes off on the night or something, he doesn't hit those high ranges amazingly. I can't see it going worse than that at the moment. So this is, I still think, going to be their best result for over a decade or around a
Yeah,
decade.
or Jade with the Andrew Lloyd Webber collaboration with Jade.
Fifth
I don't think
place.
it's going to get as high as that, but it's going to come close. It's going to
Close.
exceed Lucy.
Oh, it's so good. It's very good to have something positive around the UK.
It really is.
And it's nice to see all the British fans, not just here in Australia, but over in the UK, getting very excited about it. And the competition needs UK to do well. So I hope they do.
It's great to have that excitement and also kind of a bit of tempering expectations. Like don't get really upset if this doesn't make the top 5. If this makes the top 10, that is an amazing result. Given recent years, and then you build on that, and then you aim for top 5 the next year or the year after.
Exactly. I think this is very much the Anouk moment that Netherlands had when they were so bad for so long, and she got them a 9th place, and they built, and look, eventually they won. 6 years later. So I think this is the UK's Anouk moment. So we'll see how it goes.
Fingers crossed.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Steve. We will be over in Turin together, so we'll see how it goes there live in Italy.
Yeah, I'll be keeping everything crossed.
All right. Arrivederci. See you later.